You're in the rant wormhole where I rant about whatever my $15 a month plus patrons want me to rant about. You can get one of these by becoming one of those. This one is for Flyknit, who says rant about fanfiction. You know, fanfiction, it's pretty alright. It gets a pretty bad rap, but I mean, as a way of just having fun and writing using existing characters, it's kind of like, why not? Doesn't really hurt anybody. It's a good way to practice writing, especially if you have aspirations of becoming a writer, and you can sort of play around in a space where you don't have to develop every single aspect of your story right from the beginning. You can kind of, it's like writing with training wheels on. You can take a world that already exists, characters that already exist, you can use whatever amount of the original story you want, really, and then build something off of that. That is more to your own taste. And I think through doing so, you can figure out sort of where are the differences between your creative voice and that of the creator of that original world. And, what does your story tell you about what you want to do as a creator? And of course, if you're just a hobbyist creator and you don't even really give a fuck about being a writer long term, you can just write fanfics for the hell of it, share them with your friends and online communities and whoever. I've read some pretty great fan fictions before. I've written quite a few of them, so I guess I'll just go through my sort of history with fanfics myself. The earliest ones I remember creating were Legend of Zelda fanfic, because, there was fanfiction.net, has been around forever. I was on it back in, like, '03. I didn't really read a lot of other people's fanfics. It was more like I found out that was a thing people were doing and wanted in. So I made this pretty generic Zelda fanfic where it was just like Link climbing this mountain and having to fight like each boss, like each final boss from different Zelda games on his way up. So it'd be like each chapter was one page, because I liked things that like that when I was younger. I liked that completeness of fitting everything in one page. Actually, I still like that. I still do that a lot in my writing. But I always try to make my paragraphs end, like, at the end of a page. But anyway, in this story, each page is just Link, like, in one chapter he fights Aghanim and, like, cuts him in half. And then in the last chapter he fights Ganon and it splits his head open, whatever, really generic. And then I remember doing the, of course, erotic Tales of Symphonia fanfiction. I had several Tales of Symphonia fanfictions, actually. One that was just, like, episodic sex stories between different pairings of characters that got pretty crazy at certain times because I didn't know anything about sex or what would actually make sense. I think there was one that was just a short romance. Each of these was like, again, a chapter is a page, pretty much. And there was one that was called the Meltokyo Slums, which is still online. That's basically just this absurdly grimdark, nothing but rape and violence, like, kind of story. You can find it on fanfiction.net. Unfortunately, the other one was deleted. I don't know why Meltokyo Slums is still up, because, like, they had purged all adult content, and maybe for some reason that one's not considered adult, even though it was basically just as graphic as the other stories I wrote. But whatever. So then, moving on from there, and I still wasn't really reading most of these. Like, the reason I wrote erotic Tales of fanfics is that I had seen, like, one or two, and it made me want to do it myself, Later on when I was in, I've written a lot of, like, really, really weird ones where, at some point I stopped bothering to, like, write something that made sense in the context of the story itself. There was one called Masugu Go to War, where it was about Manabi from Manabi Strait, like, leading an army into battle. Hatsune Miku Save the Space, where it's about Hatsune Miku having, like, an interdimensional fight with somebody using a giant halberd or something like that. Just wild and crazy shit. The last one I remember writing was when I got into the My Little Pony fandom, and that I read a lot more fanfics because of the fact that I was just so deep into the fandom, and a lot of people were, talking about different ones. I didn't read a lot of the really big ones that, like, everybody was fans of, but I remember loving one called The Day My Beard Turned into Pinkie Pie, which is a story about a guy whose beard turns into Pinkie Pie. Pretty fun. There was Vinyl and Octavia University Days, which I did a video about, which is like a lesbian romance. It's very much in line with like the kind of Yuri manga that is popular now. So if you're into that kind of Yuri and you have any affection for My Little Pony, you don't even really have to care about My Little Pony. You can just read it because it's about side characters who, you know, don't even actually have any personalities as defined by the show. So you could read it and it would basically pretend that it has nothing to do with the show. But I would highly recommend it to Yuri fans because it's, you know, it's really solid Yuri. It's well written. Trying to remember any more. Those are like the two that stuck out to me the most. But I was writing one called, what was it called? Pinkie Pie's Toothache of Destiny, and it was going to be a story about Pinkie Pie having really fucked up teeth. She has like some kind of cursed plaque. It was called the Plaque Death, or the Plaque Death, and they learned about it from the Placronomicon. And it was going to be this adventure about them going to all these different places trying to fix the teeth, I guess. The main thrust of the story was that it was supposed to teach kids about the importance of brushing their teeth, as somebody who doesn't do it myself. So yeah, that was I wrote a couple chapters of that. I think it's up on Fanfiction still. Tom Oliver, who lives with me, used to write MLP fanfics that were pretty good as well. And, you know, I knew other people who were writing them, but, like... So, overall, I have a pretty positive relationship with fanfictions. You know, of course they can be cringy, just like anything else can be, but they can also be a ton of fun. People can do really unique things with the characters and settings, or just, you know, take them and make something completely absurd with them. Just, you know, there's an unfortunate fact that fanfictions are great for marketing in general, because if you are a writer, getting anybody to care about things you've written is nearly impossible. But if you tie what you're writing into an existing franchise, it's a lot easier to get people to pay attention. And a lot of people have, you know, launched careers on the back of fanfiction, like the chick who wrote fucking 50 Shades of Grey, which was originally a Twilight fanfic. Terrible example, but, you know, it can happen. So... yeah, there you go.